Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope you all enjoyed the previous episode with Miss Lisa Marie Barnes. If you checked out her music, right, she got a new song coming out too on Spotify and all over the place. So let's wish her luck with that. But I'm back today with a brand new guest. I want to welcome to the podcast for the very first time, Mr. Courtland. Tyler, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're in California too, right? I was a little confused by that. I know we've been trying to put this together for like a month now. So, where in California are you?
I'm up north, like after going towards Reno. I'm in Grass Valley, California.
All right. Yeah. See, I was like, man, I've never heard of Grass Valley, but yeah, I don't know too much about Northern California. It's kind of weird, man. It's like we're two different states, right?
Right. It is, because with everything going on, like you said, we've been trying to do this for a month and a half, and our schedules just never linked up with work. So it's like, man, he's in California too, and we still can't get this set up.
But we're here, man. So, I want to, just so everybody knows, if anybody's been listening, we had somebody from your team on before, right? So we had Emma on, and we're talking about, storyboards and everything, right? She's talking about video games and whatnot. So I want to hear from you. What exactly, what are you doing right now? Like, what's your big projects right now? What's the name of your company? So you let everybody know.
So I usually don't use the term CEO. I like to use the term team leader. Right now, the game team at Unfocused, we're working on our first indie game project called The Oracle, which is an arena type shooter. And the anime series we're calling is TK, which is currently under, as you stated, Emma is currently working on the storyboard for the trailer for that anime series. So we're working on two completely different big projects at the moment on both sides of the team.
Yeah, man, that's that's two big undertakings right there, right? So you mentioned, the Oracle, which is a game, and then once again, what's the name of the anime?
The anime is called TK Tyrant Kings. That one's currently in the process right now as we speak.
All right. So, like, a lot of people would probably think, just one of those projects would really be like, it would take up a lot of your time, and you'd probably be swamped with that, right? I mean, what crazy idea did you have that to make you want to do both of these things at once?
So what's funny is we were working on a zombie game. I had a bigger team at a point to where we're working on a zombie game, which I had to pause, which is called Hopeless Nights. The story behind that was a lot bigger than the Oracle. We were talking about 50 missions for the first character setting, which we're probably still going to do that once we get back to it. But what ended up happening with that is I got an investor, and one of the guys that was my right hand at the time was helping me with that, and my programmer. Mm-hmm. The reason that we stopped working on that one, sadly, is because the $5 million deal went bust because one of my guys ended up changing the numbers he changed the numbers on the investment deck papers. Mm-hmm. So we stayed up, him, and my programmer stayed up late night crunching numbers to make the investor knew exactly where the money was going, of course. Mm-hmm. And we were looking at a 2.5 year time span because there was like 38 of us at the time. So we were like, okay, $5 million, 2.5 years. That's good. We're actually got a lot done. And me not thinking at the time, because I was still new to the whole process of it, I was like, well, we're all on the same team. I just sent it. And of course, the investor pulled out. That happens. I just didn't know why until we got on the phone, and he was like, your numbers are off. And when I went to look, it shot up from like $5 million to like $6.57 million. I was like, whoa, wait, this isn't the deck. Yeah. I'm like, this ain't the deck I sent you. This is something completely different. So what ended up happening is that same day, he ends up telling me he's leaving the team. He's starting his own studio, and he takes most of my guys.
Oh, man.
Takes most of my guys. Yeah, he took most of my guys, started his own thing. And in the process, I had to pivot because I couldn't do the zombie game anymore. So I had to pivot. And that's where we got the Oracle started because we're like, well, we got to get our foot in the door somehow, some way. And the fact that he's now my mentor and still wants to invest in me, I'm like, well, I got to show him at least something, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit, right? Because, when you have these ideas for many, right, it could be just like a pipe dream. It's just like, I want this to happen, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. And so you managed to get yourself,
Mm-hmm.
an investor, right? And to me, this is kind of sounding like an episode of Silicon Valley, right? Where you're trying to get all these things done and all of a sudden, you run into some hurdles and whatnot. So what does that look like, right? Trying to get an investor and get somebody to believe in you to, help you put this thing together.
So with that being said, it's a tall task. I'm not gonna lie, it's a tall task because every investor is different. And then you have to look at it from a point of view is who do you want as your investor, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Each individual investor, like an angel, like let's say you want to go with an angel investor, right?
Mhm.
Angel investors are wealthy, be anywhere between 300,000 to like I think 2 million, maybe more, depending on the angel you talk to, but around that price range. So having that on your team would be great because they're actually investing their own monies instead of like let's say a syndicate or a VC who has to raise the money for you.
Mm.
So when you look at returns, you got to look at it as a standpoint of like let's say we go with a big VC, right?
Mhm.
They invest, let's just start a random number, $20 million, right? Just
Mhm.
to get us up running, everything done. They want sometimes anywhere from 10 times to 100 times that amount back on said,
Ooh.
yeah, on said company. So you have to keep in mind and look at the terms and agreements when dealing with different investors as far as angels and VCs and syndicates and all that. And it's been interesting because I've talked to a couple of them. And like I said, they all have their own pros and cons and stuff like that. It's just a matter of what's best for your business, what's best for you and your team, and what's best for your family is how I look at it. And are they actually in it just for the money, or they actually see your overall vision and goal?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because you got to think about it, right? It's not a Christmas gift, right? It's not like here's the money, go run
No.
wild with it. Yeah. Um, so I guess you do have to kind of hear their point of view, hear what they want from you as far as in return, not just financially, right? But they might kind of feel like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I have a say in the direction this is going.
Yeah, that's a big one. So then when you put like let's say with a corporation, like let's say you got a corporate structure, you need to have all that set in stone of who's going to be your COO, CFO, and of course certain investors want a board seat. So getting to know said investor, which is what I personally do. I don't just be like, "Hey, let me take your money." I'm more so like, "Hey, can we coexist? What are you looking for? What am I looking for? How can we get there together?" And that's kind of how I operate when I talk to certain investors because I'm like, at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to fund me, but it's a long term commitment.
Mhm.
And that's how you got to look at it. Like any investment you take, you got to look at it as can me and this person get along? What is his
Mhm.
ideals and my ideals? Can we coexist? Can we get on the same page? Can we stay on the same page? How would me and him handle an argument or a dispute if
Mhm.
one was to arise? And those are the questions that you have to think about because you don't really know. You don't know the person like that to know like, hey, should I really just take your money? And talking, like I said, talking to a couple of executives has opened my eyes to that because in the beginning I had no connections, like none at all.
Mhm.
And luckily through me networking, which I'm relatively good at, I've gotten a couple insight from talking to them, like, hey, yeah, you don't want to take any first deal, first come, first serve, because you want to think about it. You got to think about your longevity of your business.
Mhm.
So if somebody's flashing cash and throwing it at you and you accept it, now you're in a state to where, well, how well do you know this person? How well do
Yeah.
you know this VC? Have you done background checks on them? Have you talked to a couple people that work for them? Have you actually, got to know the person or the people with multiple investors that want to invest in you? Are they looking to add value besides money? What else can they bring to the table? And I'm just like, man, I never really thought of this until I actually sat down and talked to a couple people about it.
Yeah, this sounds like big business more than anything. You think video games and this doesn't really come to mind, but this seems like really more in the business realm. Now, you mentioned having a team and whatnot, and I'm wondering, because I know nothing about this, right? So you have your team, they're on board, they want to create, they want to do things, to help make this vision come true. All that time, before even any of the investment money comes through, what does that look like? Are they getting paid? Like, are they waiting for, this investment to come through before any sort of like money is dispersed? Like, I'm really curious about that piece too.
Yeah. So what I did is what I started out doing is I first started putting my ideas out on Facebook, which is how I built my team. I actually showcased a couple of game ideas I had, and a couple of people got interested in it, which is how I slowly built my team to where I am now. And since we all work regular jobs, we do this in our spare time. And we're waiting for an investment because, like I said, each investor has their own niche, has their own plans, their own thought process. So even though we're working cohesively to a common goal, we're all still working on our day jobs until that investment or investor invests in us so we can actually do this full time, which a lot of them were like, yeah, once you get the money, you guys got to quit your jobs and do this full time, 100% all in.
Yeah. And so like while they're working on things before the investment comes through, is it so it's more kind of like a passion project at that point until there's actual funds, right? Am I kind of getting it right there?
Yeah, you're getting it right. It's currently what we call sweat equity is what an investor calls it, because everybody's putting in they're using their tools to actually help create this vision and turn it into something tangible, which they say with that in itself is a big investment too, because it shows investors like, hey, you and your team can cohesively work and not really fight about funds, but you're still putting in work to get the project done. And they actually like that too, because it's like, okay, they're not just for the money. They actually want to create these games that they're talking about. They actually want to put their best foot forward. And that's what we're looking at when we actually talk about games or new IPs and stuff like that. Because I talk to my team about it all the time. I'm very transparent. And that's one of the things they like. So they know every move I'm making after I've made it. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is who I'm talking to. And most investors I've talked to are through LinkedIn. So I show the team like, hey, this person is reaching out. They want to know when this is done, this done. Like I just talked to a lady last week about funding. And she's like, hey, once you guys are close to the launch, keep me in your mind. I just got done doing an acquisition for a game platform not too long ago. So seeing what you guys are doing looks nice. And I'm just like, okay, that's good that we're getting all these eyes on us. But at the same time, it's like it adds pressure, if that makes sense. Now they're watching us. They're waiting for our demo and trailer to see exactly what we can do. But then at the same time, we're like passing up idea stage because we're making something concrete. So it's like, okay, they don't really need pre-seed. They're looking to go full seed and actually add more to the game, which gives the business more equity for itself as opposed to distributing out to, like, let's say investors or something like that. And that makes it easier to hold on to your business long term, because then it's like, okay, if I own a little bit more and let's say I want to give my team a bonus or something like that, I pay the investors their little bit. If we got set amount left over, I can be like, okay, here team, this is what we got for our residuals for making this, just to show them my gratitude. And that's how I'm looking at it right now, because I'm like, well, they're putting in their time and effort just like I am every day. And even though we're getting all these eyes on us, we still have to deliver, at least something that they actually can see, feel, touch, and play, or even watch for the show series itself.
Yeah. I mean, so it's really, it's interesting. It sounds very like an independent kind of thing, but it's like a big business kind of thing at the same time. Now, what I'm wondering, because obviously, it's a big market, but you have your heavy duty, big time players, right? And so with a game like yours, when you do put it out, I go back to like when I was a kid, I used to love going to like Blockbuster or Hollywood Video, and just checking out any random ass video game. Like I'm like, wow, that looks cool. The artwork looks cool. Let me check that out. So what does that look like for you all, right? Once this thing gets completed, the Oracle, right? And where can people potentially access it in the future when it is completed?
So once we get done, we're looking to drop it on Unreal, of course, because that's what we're using, Unreal Engine right now. And if everything goes according to plan, I'm looking to go ahead and try to drop it on Xbox and PlayStation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be really cool, man. That's it's like sometimes I check out random games too, like on Switch, like on the online market. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Like the artwork looks cool. Like I don't think I ever heard of it, but like I mean, it's such a cool time now where you can just kind of browse and there's like a $5 game or something like that, and you're like, let me check that out, And I think, yeah, I mean, it's really cool for again, if you're not one of the well-known heavy hitters, the established brands yet,
Right, and that's a fight within itself too, because like I was talking to a group network full of other startups that I run. I'm like, right now there's so many new indie studios coming out that you have to compete with along with the bigger studios. And what's interesting now is I talk to all our fans. I talk to all our fans personally. So I get feedback from them a lot, like a lot. Whenever I drop something new, like this one guy, he'll just repost it. No questions asked. I'm just like, man, thanks, guy, And it's one of those things where people want something new, they want something different, and they want something that hasn't been seen or done before. And I'm like I told our team, I'm like, that's our niche. We can take those risks that the other studios are afraid of taking, which is how we got to the point we are right now. Because we're like, well, we don't want to be repetitive. We don't want to do the same thing. What's going to separate us from all these other studios? And that's what our last team meeting was about, is figuring out, okay, if we're going different, how different? How in depth different do we want to go? Are we going to like build something that's already made and put our spin on it? Are we just going fully different? And then figuring out that best plan of action to showcase that to our fans and potential fans and game publishers and investors and stuff like that, to actually show them like, yeah, this is what we're capable of doing.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So with that, I hope you get it out there on those markets and people check it out. What if you had to put like a little kind of like a description on the back of the box, right, of like the Oracle, right? What is it about? What can potential players expect from the Oracle?
So I would say it's going to be fast paced. We're looking at making it a fast paced arena shooter. There's more to the story than you think that's happening in the arena. There's outside interference happening. Let's just throw that out there. So even though you're fighting in the arena, just know there's outside things taking place in the works as well. And as you actually continue playing and getting through the seasons, you'll realize what that big secret's all about at the end of it.
All right. So there's some twists and turns there, it sounds like. As far as gaming, goes in general, man, I think it's really gone from this thing where it's like, it's just for kids, it's just kind of like wasting your time, to something that could be really lucrative. There's people that are getting college scholarships to UC Irvine for either like being for being like gamers or being the people that want to create the video games, right? Just recently too. How there's like high school sports, right? Like CIF, champion football, wrestling, all that stuff, right? Well, there was a CIF gaming championship that just started up this year. It's crazy.
Wow. That is. I didn't even know that actually started this year. I heard about it, and I got a couple friends that are looking to get into it, that's looking to do it in high schools and stuff like that. And gaming has came a long way. Like when I used to play like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, you never could think like, I'm gonna go to school playing video games, like I'm gonna get a full scholarship doing this. And now it's like, oh yeah, I got a full scholarship making games. Like, huh? How? Wait, what? And I find it very interesting because I myself, I'm big on knowledge and research and stuff like that. I find it interesting to see how far it's come, and I want to know how far it's going to go and how far developers boundaries of it.
Mhm. I don't think it's going anywhere, man. I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger. I just find it crazy that you can be a Super Smash Brothers state champion in high school now. That's fucking cool, man.
Right, right. One of my cousin's friends, he placed I think second or third in one of them, and we had an epic battle. It was an
Yeah.
epic battle. He ended up beating me barely, because I had to jump back on the board and he threw a bomb at me and I couldn't actually dodge it. So I was like, yeah. I can see why you placed high. That makes sense.
Uh-huh. Man, my character is Bowser, but I just love doing that butt slam. But just to kind of close out the video game talk, like, man, like I have always just been like, you mentioned some of my favorites there, man. You mentioned Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and anytime a new Mario or Zelda game comes out, right? What are some of your favorites that you just, you're always like, you see it and you're like, man, that's my childhood, or that's my passion there.
Uh, I am a big game of multi layers of gaming. I play everything from 2K to I play Call of Duty, not as much now because now I'm working on the Oracle. I play Need for Speed was a great game coming up. Need for Speed was epic. And of course, let's see, right now, all the UFCs,
Nah,
because I used to do MMA. I used to do MMA before stopping and boxing.
all right.
And I'm a big strategy type of game player now, I would say. Strategy and team based.
Hmm. Okay. Were you ever a Zelda fan, man? I gotta ask. It's my favorite game right now. Is that Tears of the Kingdom?
No, I really didn't play Zelda growing up. Growing up, like I said, the Spyros, the Crash Bandicoots. When Rugrats was a game, that was my jam. I used to play that a lot.
Okay.
uh, I was upset when they stopped. I was upset when they stopped making the Rugrats games. I was like, oh, that sucks so bad. But those were the games I can remember growing up playing. All the Crashes, all the Spyros, the
Yeah.
Rugrats,
Yeah, the platformers, right? So
the NBA Live.
oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. NBA Jam and stuff. Yeah. You mentioned like Rugrats, man. It takes me back to those games. Those games were hard, man. There's like the Mickey Mouse games used to be hard. Uh Lion King, all of those games, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, and they were fun and everything, but at some point, a lot of people just like, what do they call it? Rage quit. They just rage quit them.
Yeah.
Uh,
I used to always die when I used to play the level with Simba when you were being chased by the hyenas through the
everybody.
death valley of it. I'm like, how am I supposed to make this jump? And
Uh,
I remember just sitting there, just thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm never going to pass this level. I'm never going to make it out.
Kids today will never
Oh man,
would never pass that. Yeah, but
no.
it is what it is, man. Those are great memories. Now, I wanted to switch gears just slightly, right? And you mentioned the anime, right? And this is kind of a world I have even less knowledge of. And so, when it comes to the anime, right, this is where you basically have your other foot in in this project, right? What is
Yeah.
what is that looking like right now? Like, is there anything you can share as far as like what, without giving it away, right? Obviously, but like what the story's like or anything like that?
Yeah, so my MC was basically a very, very smart kid. He was sheltered by his older brother. So just imagine a kid that's sheltered, highly intelligent, got into his college of his dreams, but his older brother, in order to take care of him, had to do some things he's not really proud of, which he kept from his younger brother, who's my MC. And basically, his older brother is killed during a bad business deal gone wrong, and thus now he's trying to figure out the reason why and who did it, because it's not posted anywhere. Let's just put it like that. It's like the media covered it up and everybody don't know what really happened to him. It's like he just disappeared, dropped off the face of the earth. But now he's trying to figure out, hey, why isn't this on the news? Why is nobody talking about this? And thus now he's thrown into, let's just say, the underbelly of the city now.
All right, okay, sounds interesting. I'm already captivated, man. I'm like, oh, that's relatable, right? Like,
Right.
You smart kids, and I've worked with kids for a long time, right? A lot of times you see the
Uh-huh.
ones that they're smart kids, but they get into trouble, but not because they want to, right? Because that's just the way things end up,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah,
definitely like
yeah,
that.
exactly. That's exactly what happened in my and character. His name is DJ, and his whole story. He's thinking like, yeah, my school finds out that's not what it's supposed to be. His brother, like, wait, what's really going on with him? How did I miss this? He's just like all in the dark and trying
Mhm.
to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, that was really cool. Now, did you like did you come up with the story or somebody on your team? Because I mean, that's really interesting how you would come up with like that whole premise there.
Write for both projects. I write for the Oracle, like the what's going on, how it's falling in place. I get feedback from my team, like, hey, what do you guys think? And as far as the show, I send that to the other part of the team, and then we discuss it and have one-on-one meetings because it's not that big. I'm slowly still growing people in it. So I get feedback from both sides of my team to see exactly what they think, and in case they have ideas of their own, so we can see how we can implement them. And that's usually how I go on about it, is to see, like, for the show, I'm like, okay, I got a couple of voice actors and they let me know, like, hey, I really like this episode, or hey, this episode's a little slower paced, but that's okay because the action from the last episode. So it's just mainly, I look at it as a puzzle piece of how I'm going to put it together. And I go from there, which is how I write it. I like to take like a day or two, maybe three max, to fully flesh out how I want to write it, because I usually hold myself 3 to 5 pages a night. So during the day, I'm like, okay, how do I want this episode to go? Who do I want to do this, that, and the third? And that's how I usually come up with the idea of how I want things to go. And then I let them read it and give me feedback for it.
Yeah, cool, man. So I mean, that's cool. You have your team and everything, but I gotta say, man, you sound like a creative guy, right? You sound like a pretty creative dude if you're coming up with these stories and everything. Would you say that that you've always been kind of creative and whatnot?
Yeah, I used to actually, what's funny is I used to write little shorts in school, and I really didn't take myself serious. I'm gonna just throw that out there. I didn't take myself serious until I got to college, when I was actually studying for my AA in communications. And my communications teacher would read my stories, and she would be like, hey, these are really amazing, amazing stories. You need to share these. And in the beginning, I was like, you're a teacher. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just like, when you're in college, like, you're just my professor. I just want to get my degree and, move on. But she kept hounding me and discussing it with me. And the Oracle, let's just say, wasn't my very first game I started writing. My first was called Dom, with a buddy of mine, but he ended up not writing it. So I ended up taking it over. And what I did was, I was like, okay, I'm going to put it to the test. I'm going to write a short for Dom and get my friends' feedback on it. Sure enough, I wrote out like 6 different character classes, because it's mythology. The way it's set up is mythology, and they're all fighting for dominance. And I showed it to a buddy of mine, and he was like blown away. He's like, dude, when is this dropping? And I started laughing. I was like, dude, that's just, a short that I wrote. It's not the actual game. He's like, you need to make this. I need to play it. And that's after that, that kind of solidified it, after talking with my teacher. And she was like, you need to start your own company. People would love working for you. You are a very creative person. And after my buddies was like, I'd buy this, I was like, okay, maybe she's on to something.
Yeah, so like it wasn't quite the teachers, it was the buddies that did it, right? Now, but it was all of that. Yeah. With going back to like the anime, right? So this is my thing. Like I get that there's an appeal, right? And every school I've ever worked at, there's always been like an anime club and all that stuff. And so there are people there that really like this stuff, but like I was kind of like the kid that never got into it. I never got it. I never understood it, right? And I'm thinking, and when I think about the why behind it, is because it really kind of just, to me, always felt like very foreign, right? And then there's nothing wrong with that,
Right.
obviously, but it's not something that I could relate to, and I'm talking about like when I think of anime, and I think when a lot of people who are kind of maybe ignorant of anime, they think of like, just like Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon or something like that, where you have the characters with the big old, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like the quarter circle eyes and the sharp eyebrows, right? The crazy hair. And so that's not it though, right? There's like a number of different, styles and whatnot within the genre, right?
It is. It is. There's multiple styles of different types of anime. It all depends on what you're into and the art style you're into. Like for me, I watch a whole lot of different type. I'm an action type of watcher for anime, but I also like the comedy and story of it as well. So I've watched everything from like Psyche to, of course, Dragon Ball Z to High School of the Dead to Mob Psycho to let's see, the Spy Family. I've watched a whole long list of various animes just because, like I said, now that I'm writing my own, I'm like, I gotta see how I want this to actually look and feel and actually connect with people. And for me, that's how I look at anime now and video games too. Like, how can I connect people to what I'm doing so they get excited for when they hear like, oh, Daydream Animations is dropping another anime series or Unfocused is dropping another game in the coming months, get people excited again when they hear like, oh crap, this is coming out, but at the same time, live up to those expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, build up the hype and deliver, right? Got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what your characters may look like, are they going to have like that kind of more like foreign kind of look to them, or are they going to look maybe more like Americanized or something like that?
Yeah, so my artist, I think you talked to him, Chance, who's over now in Asia right now, who you're probably going to interview once you guys get a chance to talk. We went along the lines of something of our own type of style, which is anime style, but it's like mixed with Americanization, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's like a mixture of both we tried to end up working with. And I've already been sharing it with, of course, the anime fans and people alike. And we've been getting good rapport from all the Facebook groups and people on LinkedIn. They're liking what they're seeing too. And so much so that people are reaching out, like, hey, where are you guys dropping the show? When is it going to be ready? And that's the thing, is building the hype around it to showcase people like, hey, no, we're really actually doing these things and we're actually working towards doing these things full time. And it's crazy because now it goes from like me making a company. Like I tell people this now, I'm like, it's bigger than me at this point.
Mm.
It's not just about myself. It's about now I'm building a team, I'm building a brand, I'm building something where people can actually look at and be like, inspiration, if that makes sense, and inspire those who actually want to get into it, as opposed to people who are like, oh, I can't get into the industry, I don't know how to do it. It's like, I've been told by multiple people, put your stuff out there. And these are like from execs over on LinkedIn. They're like, the best thing you can do is put yourself out there. Ideas are a dime a dozen. It's all about your execution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense, right? You got to stand out from the rest and really kind of, present yourself as something that is, a commodity, right? That people are going to want. Mm-hmm. Now, for the anime, what does that look like as far as a goal, right? Get it streaming somewhere. Is what I mean. There's so many avenues now, right? So what does that kind of look like?
If I can actually get everything set up with the trailer to showcase and get an animator to help with that, of course, I'm going to look at streaming networks to talk to for it, such as Plexing, Peacock, Netflix, and Hulu, and them, and see if they'd be interested in it after I send my pitch deck to them and let them read over it and give me feedback about it. So the whole game plan is, of course, go to streaming network, get their feedback, see what they say. If they like it, cool, put it on one of their networks or two of their networks. And then if not, of course, there's YouTube. A friend of mine is working on his own streaming network called Indie Plus, and he's like, he would love my anime series to be on there. So like you said, it's so many different options nowadays to get your stuff out there. It's just a matter of which one to choose and which one would be the best option for you at this point.
Yeah, man. Because like there's some viable options, but even one of the biggest, man, when I heard that, like what do you call it? Amazon, right? People were posting movies that they made on their iPhones on there. I'm like, okay. I'm like, there's options. People can do this now. It's realistic, you know? So
It is. It really is. And like you said, we've technology's came such a long way. It's just a matter of it's a matter of working together with other people too. And like I said, talking to other business people, they're like, here's the thing, everybody wants a quick buck, but nobody wants that longevity, stability to actually harness something long term. So everybody's like, I gotta get paid now, now, now. It's like, yeah, you can get paid now, now, now. But what happens to where you waste most of your time to where you're just doing all these freelance works
yeah,
and you're building your portfolios as opposed to, like, let's say you're starting off with a startup that you know can't invest money into you yet, but they have connections, but you don't know that because you already turned them down, or you don't know what's really happening behind the scenes because they have to put you on an NDA and who they're really working with and stuff like that. And it's interesting because a lot of big companies started that way. They started in their garage with 3 or 4 friends, or they started, out in the same position I'm at, like, hey, I can't pay my guys, but at the same time, I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure that I can actually get my stuff out there and connect with the right people so I can start paying my guys.
yeah,
And that's how a lot of old school businesses, went through. And I'm kind of taking that the same way. Like, okay, I understand, with business, you gotta take risk. Of course, you gotta figure out your avenue. You gotta figure out the right and wrong people to network with. You gotta get yourself out there. And since I've been doing all that, that's how the team has been getting all these eyes on us and people reaching out to us and wanting to know more. And when I tell them, like, hey, no, we're actually doing this on our spare time, we all work regular jobs, they're like captivated, like, what, you guys are working in unison together? I'm like,
yeah.
well, yeah, we're all understanding. We're at a point now where it's like people are looking at us, not just regular fans. It's now, other investors and angels and stuff like that. And now they're just like, it's like now we're like, okay, we're in a spot where we're being looked at. Like I said earlier, we're in a spot where we're like, okay, good, they're looking at us. Now we just got to deliver.
Yeah, for sure.
and and that's the thing. And I really didn't think much of it until, like I said, until I started talking to certain people in business world, and they're like, yeah, that quick buck is okay for now, but what are you looking at long term? What's your long term goal? Are you just looking to freelance for the rest of your life? Are you looking to get in with a startup? Because startup is the best place to start if you're not getting in with the bigger studios. People fresh out of college, they're looking for work. And then, of course, like they say the same thing, they'll freelance, but there has to come a point to where you're like, okay, if I'm not getting in with a bigger studio, what's going to be my next option? And with so many startups happening right now in the entertainment industry, getting on with them and actually trusting not only the person who's trying to run the company, but the person who's trusting their team, that's a heck of an investment within itself.
Yep, for sure, man. Now, to close this out real quick, man, I just want to, let people know where they can find you, right? Maybe social media out there, anywhere people can look you up and see all your updates and everything.
Yeah, we're on Facebook at facebook.com/unfocused, facebook.com/daydream animations. We're also on twitter.com/unfocused, twitter.com/daydream animations. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn as well. Same thing, Daydream Animations. Type in Unfocused on LinkedIn, you'll find us. And same thing on Instagram, Daydream Animations, Unfocused. We're in different. We're all over.
Cool, man. Yeah. So, good luck with all of that, with both your projects and anything else you got coming up. But for anybody that's interested in either of those, the Oracle or TK, right? Keep an eye out. But it's been a pleasure having you, Courtland. I really appreciate you joining us and talking to us about some stuff I have no idea about, but now I know.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. For everybody listening at home, I appreciate it. Thank you. Fuck you and good night. Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength podcast, and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.